Hey everybody, welcome back to Anime Sekai Podcast. I am your host, Ichigo, and I am joined by my best friend.
Mika in here. Hey guys.
Join us this week as we kick off and start our Freaky Fridays. And this week we will be discussing the scary/slash horror anime Another. Hey guys, welcome back. It is Friday.
Best day of the week.
And it is Friday the 13th.
Oh.
I know, spooky. This Friday, we are kicking off our Freaky Fridays scary horror anime for the Halloween season. So, we hope you guys enjoy this little theme series that we have going on this month and let us know what you think. This week, we will be discussing Another. And just to give a quick synopsis of the story, in class 3-3 of Yomiyama North Junior High, transfer student Koichi Sakakibara makes his return after taking a sick leave for the first month of school. Among his new classmates, he is inexplicably drawn toward Mei Misaki, a reserved girl with an eye patch whom he met in the hospital during his absence. But none of his classmates acknowledge her existence. They warn him not to acquaint himself with things that, quote unquote, do not exist. So, this story, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like this story. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I watched it and I didn't have an issue with like the horror aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm being honest, I feel like in my personal opinion, I know it's like under the genre of horror, but I personally just don't feel like it's horror. It's more thriller to me, supernatural mystery and thriller. But
Yeah.
that's just my personal opinion because there's creepy moments, but it's not very scary.
No, I wasn't scared. The only thing is this show is really gory. So for anybody that's not
Yes.
a fan of gory type shows like myself, I wouldn't recommend it, but at the same time, it was really good.
It was.
It was really
Um,
good.
So this is actually my second time watching it, and I have to say,
Mhm.
if I'm being honest, um, I was a little disappointed because I didn't remember it. This because it came out like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And when I
Yeah.
first saw it, I it was a long time ago.
Right.
And I remembered the beginning part and some of the deaths, but I did
Mhm.
not remember who the ghost was. And then when the
Mhm.
final episode, I watched it and it was revealed, I remembered why I didn't remember. It was because it was so, in my personal opinion, anticlimactic, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I didn't remember it."
It was very
It
anticlimactic. I was
was.
like, "Are you serious?"
It was, right?
But I will say, so I did watch this anime. I did not ever finish it. And the reason I didn't remember
Oh.
watching it is because the first 2 episodes, there's nothing gory going on. They
Oh, I
don't
see.
like the way it's set up.
That's
So I
true.
remember watching the first 2, maybe even 3 episodes, and I was like, "Oh, I've seen this anime before. I should remember this, but it'll be a good refresher." Then I remembered why
That first death really
I
did
stopped
in, didn't it?
watching it.
I
The
knew.
first death. So, for anybody that is not a fan of gore or is a little bit squeamish, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just know we will be talking about some gruesome deaths within the
Some
anime.
yeah, especially the first
We
one.
won't go into, yeah, oh girl, we will not go into too much detail. Just know the first death, the girl falls down a flight of stairs and an umbrella is involved. For those that have seen the anime, you know what I'm talking about. For those that have not and you're interested, go watch it. If you're
I'm
not
pretty sure you can
interested
just
in gore,
imagine.
just know something happens with the umbrella. That's all I'm gonna leave it as.
Think you can imagine what would happen.
Yes. That's the whole reason I stopped watching
You
the
were like,
show.
"Nope,
I was like, oh
I'm
no.
good." You're like, "This is not for me."
But I'm telling you, the first couple of episodes, I was like, "Oh, I have seen this. I don't remember it being this bad. Like, why
Mhm.
was this so scary? I don't remember it." And then oh girl dies in
You're like,
like what,
"Ooh."
episode 3, episode 4, and
Yeah.
I'm like, now I remember. Yeah. And I gotta watch this for this episode.
Mhm. It's just the most memorable, you know what I mean? If I
Yeah.
remember anything about the show, it's that death.
Well, that was the one that was it was her and then the nurse that Sakakibara
Oh, that was
becomes.
messed up.
Yeah, that hurt my heart a little bit. I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this girl had absolutely nothing to do
For real. She
with
didn't
this
do anything.
situation." So basically, guys, there is a omnibus rumor around one of the former students of class 3-3, Sanen Sangumi, and no one shares the full event with Koichi, who is the transfer student. Nobody tells him what's going on. And engrossed in the curse that plagues his class, Koichi sets out to discover a connection with his new friend, who is Mei Misaki, quote unquote, the girl that doesn't exist. And as a series of tragedies arise around them, it is now up to Koichi, Mei, and their classmates to unravel the eerie mystery. But in doing so, will come a hefty price. And so basically, Koichi is trying to figure out what is going on with this class, what the curse is, why all the students basically start dying.
Mhm.
And his main thing that he's trying to figure out is why nobody recognizes Mei Misaki.
May uh-huh. So in the beginning, he kinda thinks and it's also for the viewer as well, it kinda seems like she might not actually be real, which I like,
Mhm.
but they quickly throw that away, and then then
They
they just go
did.
into, like, the killings, you know what I mean?
At first, I was like, "Oh, they are really bullying this poor girl." I remember texting you. I was like, "They are really
Yeah.
bullying this poor girl over the fact that somebody else from years ago had died, and that's
Mhm.
not even her fault. Like, she had nothing to do with it because the little ghost girl appeared in a photo way
Yeah.
back when. Now all these other people are basically ignored in class and treated like they don't exist, and I felt bad for Misaki. That's not her fault.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I mean, she was basically the fall girl. It's supposed to be like they're ignoring them so that
Mhm.
the ghost, whoever is the ghost, won't kill
There's always an
everybody.
extra. Yeah, there's always an
Extra death.
extra person. Whoever is in the past, it had been an extra student. So the extra
Mhm.
student is everybody in the class has to figure out who that extra student is and
And I
basically figure out a way to avoid the plague.
or else everyone gets killed, like,
Yeah, or else
truly.
people start dying, and it's not just the students in the class, it could also be the teachers
And
or
their
the students.
families.
Yeah, family
Yeah.
members, like their
That's
immediate family
insane.
members.
That was kinda crazy to me because I'm like, "Man, it goes outside the little class pool," which is a little
That
intense.
didn't make any sense to me. Like, I get the homeroom teacher and I get the students in the class, but why y'all going after the family members? What do family
Yeah,
members do?
same. I don't know. Honestly, I really wish they kept the whole, "Is May actually a ghost or is she real?" for a little bit longer
Yeah.
because I kinda like that vibe of, like, is she r wait, is she, like is he only seeing her? Is he the only one that sees her, you know?
Mhm. And for a split second, he thought he was going crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he thought
And
he was the ghost too at one point.
yeah, at one point he was like, "Am I alive?" Because at this point, he now knows the story. So, first of all, hold on, let me go back. I got a bone to pick with everybody in the class
Okay.
because how come nobody told him what was really going on? And then they just danced around the fact that basically May didn't exist. Like when they went to visit him in the hospital, they should be like, look, these are the class rules. This is what's
Yeah.
going on. And I get like they're not supposed to bring her up, quote unquote,
Yeah.
but I
They
I
wanted
don't
to
like the way that they went about it. That was my issue.
Oh, I agree. So, originally, they were supposed to tell him, right? But Izumi, like, the girl who's in charge of the whole ghost thing, She was
Mhm.
absent that first day when she was supposed to tell him, but the problem was Koichi already was in contact with May, so everyone just threw the whole thing out and just decided not to tell him.
Which that is where my issue comes in because they went to visit him in the hospital before he started school.
Yeah.
And they brought him flowers and they kinda talked to him, and then even Izumi was like, "Have you been here before?" Like, she was trying to figure out who this dude was, right?
Mhm.
It should have been then that when the other 2 left, or even before they left, she should have, in my head, stayed, told him what was going on, said, "Look, these are the class rules, this is what you have to do." Because he even asked, like, "What kind of committee are you a part of?"
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but also at the same time, imagine you meet someone for the first time and then they're like, "You have to ignore this girl because there's a curse on the class." I'd be like, "Are you good?"
"What?"
Like, "What?"
But they already approached him in a creepy manner. I'm sorry, they were creepy when they
They
went
were
to visit him
creepy.
in the hospital. They were creepy. And they were like, all that hush hush. No, just tell him out. That's where the whole class messed up.
Oh,
The
yeah.
whole
No,
class messed
they
up
did.
in that instance.
They did. But the problem was the curse had already started because May's sister was already dead, so it wouldn't matter even if they explained it to
Mm,
him. So, technically, if we're going by technicality, it technically wouldn't have mattered.
it
They were
wouldn't
gonna
have,
drop like
but
flies either way.
they look, let me tell you, them last couple of episodes, I was like, dang.
They were ta I don't know how there was anybody left. You know when they took that class photo at the end?
No,
There
they
was
took
like
the class photo before they went into the lodge.
oh, yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no. I'm talking, sorry, not the class photo, but when they gathered, like, and there was still a few of them left, I was like, "How is there anybody left?" Like, I thought everybody was taken out.
There weren't
Af
anybody left. That's where I got a little confused because the former homeroom teacher who
Yeah,
turned librarian, he had made a comment like, what did he say? Because this really confused me. He was like, "Oh, there were only a total of 7 deaths this year."
yeah.
And I was like, "Didn't the whole
Like,
class just die?"
yeah, I know, that's what I thought
I'm
too.
confused. Where you
I was
get
like, I coulda
7?
sworn yeah, I coulda sworn there was like 30 of them just going out
Exactly.
one by one, like, they all just especially in the end, towards the end, like, they were, like, multiple of them getting
Bro, when all the explosions were going off and
mhm.
they started, screaming and they're running out of the
Oh,
building,
yeah,
trying
and
to
trying to kill each
escape the
other too.
building, and they at that point, they had all gone mad.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. One of them is killing all of us, so I'd be like, "It's either me or all of you." So, I mean, I get
Or
it.
maybe I didn't understand that right. I feel like the teacher said only 7 people died, which I was like, "A lot more than 7 people died." Like, I counted, like, there was more than 7. Where are you getting 7? But he could be like, maybe only 7 people survived too. Maybe I just heard it wrong, but
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I do remember there was, like, a little thing at the end, and I just felt like I thought there was more people dead.
there was
There
more than
was
7.
I agree, there was more than 7, I
Because by the time
think.
they got to the lodge, there was already more than 7 of the classmates there, and what, 4 people had already died at that point?
I think more than 4.
There was more than 7.
Yeah.
What did you think about May?
I personally liked her character, but I just wish they would have played it out differently. I feel like they should have, 1, gone with the whole, "Is she really alive or can only Koichi see her?" kinda thing
Mhm.
a little longer for the mystery effect, and also, I kind of wanted her to be the ghost. Either someone who was a little more obvious, but also not obvious, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I felt like it was really disappointing.
I liked her character, but I also felt bad for her because at that point, by the time she had met Koichi, she had already lost so much. Like, she
Yeah.
had found out that her mother wasn't
Oh,
really her
yeah.
mother.
Yeah. Oh,
Her
yeah.
cousin was really her twin sister.
Mhm.
She lost her eye at the age of 4, and so then her mother/aunt, I guess, her mother had given her a doll's eye. There
Yeah.
was a she lived in a doll, museum.
That was the creepiest
And
part.
yeah, that was really creepy. I was
That
like,
was the creepiest part of the whole entire series, in my opinion. Every time those doll things came up.
I actually kind of like looking at the dolls. I think the artwork on it was really nice.
Oh, yeah,
It added to the creepy effect, but
mhm.
I was like, these dolls are actually kind of nice. Would I want them in my house? No,
No,
but they're nice to look at.
I agree.
I also
I actually
felt like she
didn't
was
feel
too
bad for
quick
her.
to accept everything.
Yes, I do agree, and that's why I kind of don't really feel bad for her because out of everyone, her mental state was the strongest, and
Yeah.
I feel like she honestly just, in a sense, almost didn't care. Do you know what I mean? She was like, "Yeah."
No. I
She's
was
like,
mad when she was
"Mm."
like, "I could tell who the other one was from the jump," and I'm
Yo,
like,
for real, for real.
"So you didn't tell anybody?" I mean, I get why you didn't tell him, but you didn't tell nobody else?
Yeah, that was kind of like, "Are you serious?"
Oh, she couldn't tell anybody else because she was the student that didn't exist. That's why.
Oh, I think she also said she wore the eye patch for most of the
Mhm.
class, so she didn't notice until, like, later, but she did know for a while.
Well, he asked her. He
Yeah, yeah,
asked
in the
her,
end.
"Did you know?" And she said basically from the jump, like, "I knew from the beginning." I'm like, "So you knew from the beginning and you still let all them people die? Dang, that's messed up." Like, I would have folded up a note and pretended,
Mhm.
since technically nobody can see me anyway when nobody's in the classroom, you write on a piece of paper who the other person is, put it in, Izumi's desk, boom, problem solved.
But she did say she was also, like, not sure. She didn't realize because she was asking him about what color do you see and whatnot to be able to tell, and then she truly
Yeah,
clarifies,
she
"Oh, yes,
never
I can see that it's death."
he did ask her, he was like, "So what color do you see?" And she was like, "I just see the color of death." And I'm like, "But what
Mhm.
color is that?" Like, if the photo is in color, is it like, is that person in gray? Are they blue? Are they
Mm.
green like the color of your eye? I'm confused. Like,
Ooh, I have a question. Who did
mhm.
you want it to be? The ghost.
Either Izumi, I'm just gonna be straight up. I wanted her to be the ghost because she was getting on my nerves.
I thought she
I
was the
did.
ghost.
I thought right at the very end, I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
man,
that's me too.
she's dying, so that means all of this will be over." And then it kept going, and I
It
was
kept going.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh, oh, okay, never mind."
yeah. Well, and in the very end, I was like, "Oh wait, she's actually not the ghost," because she was like, "I met you a year and a half ago. I hit you in the head with a can." And
Mhm.
remember, up until that point, they said if you are the other or the additional student, then you don't have any memories and everybody's memories gets altered. So when she said, "I hit you in the head with a empty can,"
Yeah.
that's when we first met. I was like, "Oh, so now he'll remember." So then it actually was her. And now the story's going to go into how she died. And then it didn't. And she was like, "My brother died." And I was like, "Wait a minute, but you're not your brother." So I'm confused.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be her, or I wanted it to be Koichi.
Mhm.
I thought maybe because of his sickness, like he died, but then he died in that area
And then he
and
kinda came to haunt
he
people.
came back. Yeah, he came like to quote unquote haunt the class that he was supposed to be in.
I see.
Because in the beginning, he was in the hospital and he had collapsed. So I was like,
Mhm.
maybe he did die at this point, and this is the story of his ghost just kind of
Uh,
being the other
in there,
student.
yeah.
Mhm.
I wanted somebody in the group who heard the tape. I actually wanted Naoya to be it because he's the
Ah.
most cheerful, but he's also been part of the main group figuring out who the ghost is and whatnot. I wanted him to be the one who, and even though in the beginning he's like, "Oh, I remember my childhood," I wanted him to lie, and then it turns out
Mhm.
that all along it was him. If not him, I wanted it to be May, and this whole time she was lying to Koichi, having him kill somebody else.
Yeah.
And then in the end, turns out the curse is not over,
It
and
was
she's just
her.
like,
That would have been really twisted, I'm not gonna lie, but it would have
Yeah,
been good.
that's what I wanted.
Now that you've mentioned Naoya, I kind of also thought Mochizuki, the real quiet
Yes.
one,
Mhm.
thought maybe he could have been a good candidate. He was too
But then they
quiet. There
showed
was
his
something wrong with
sister.
him.
Yeah,
All in all, do you think this anime is a good anime for people to watch during spooky season, like Halloween season?
I feel like it's not, in my personal opinion, what I would categorize under horror. It's just not scary enough. But it is
Mhm.
a pretty decent story. It definitely is underwhelming, and that is why I will probably forget who the ghost is again in a few years because it's just not very memorable. The end, if I'm being honest, the whole story, like up until that point and the deaths, especially the one dude. Do you know the one dude who, a bunch of them get crushed by a lamp in the end, and then
Yeah.
there's just one dude who manages to slip out, and then the pillar falls on him.
Yes.
Yo, that was my favorite death, sorry, I had to put that in there. But the ending is just
I was
very underwhelming.
Yeah, I thought that scene was messed up,
That
to
was
be honest,
hilarious.
because he was like, "I'm
I'm
free!"
living.
Boom, no, you're not. I was like, "Dang, the
That was
curse is
so good.
really taking people out like that."
It really is. Oh, did you
I
have a
was
favorite death?
No, because I didn't want none of them people to die, to be
Oh,
honest with you, but
really?
because I don't like gory stuff, so every single time somebody died a gruesome way, like the Umbrella Girl,
Mhm.
I closed my eyes, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna
You
sit here
closed
and lie to
your
y'all,
eyes?
like, I closed my eyes. I sure
What?
did. I sure did.
You serious?
Yes, I did, yeah, mhm, my
So
eyes
you
was go not
saw
for
the most.
everybody.
Yeah, the ones that came out of nowhere probably.
Yeah. Like, when the one girl, they, were trying to drive out of the town and leave the town, and a
Yeah,
rock hits the car, and the car, like, goes running off the cliff. I
yeah.
didn't close my eyes for that because
Oh, yeah.
then you don't see anything for that,
Mhm.
but, yeah, no, Umbrella Girl, and when old girl fell off the, I'll say a 4th story, 5th story, all I saw was her try to kill May. She was like, "I'm avenging my brother's death," and then she slipped
Oh,
because it
that
was
part.
raining.
Yeah.
I closed my eyes for that because once I saw her go out that window, I was like, "Nope, mm-mm. I can hear it and just imagine."
Actually, she fell in a really funny way.
No, I looked at it after I heard her hit the
You
ground. I saw that part, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and be like, "Yeah, I watched intently each one." No, I kept my eyes closed. I don't do gory. Not at all. No, ma'am. Mm-mm.
One day.
No, not one day. This is
One day.
the goriness of this, I think, is perfect for, like, getting into the mood of Halloween.
Mhm.
For anybody that is big fans of Halloween, would I continuously watch this anime? Like, if it had a season 2, a season 3 where, now Koichi is now trying to help with the other classes after him figure out who the other person is? No, like,
Mhm.
mm-mm. I probably,
You're like, "This is
if
it?"
it weren't for October and Freaky Friday, I would not watch this on any other regular day. I did this for you.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't at least scary,
No, it was
so you
not
could
scary,
watch it.
but
Mhm.
I did enjoy it.
Glad to
Minus
hear.
the gory deaths, I did enjoy the anime itself. It was pretty good.
You guys, if Ichigo can watch it, 90% of you can without any problem.
Probably a
'Cause
majority of y'all could watch it
yeah,
because
because you don't like scary and you don't like, yeah, like gory, and you were able to.
I'm I will attempt to watch scary. I don't like a whole lot of gore.
Mhm.
Like anything that's like overly bloody or like you can see people getting cut up stuff. Like I don't do that kind of stuff.
I
But
mean, I
at least
agree on that.
Halloween season I attempt to watch
Mhm.
scary stuff. I attempt.
Good, good.
So, how did you feel about the end? The very end? Oh, wait, you said
Mm.
it was anticlimactic, so
Yeah, it was anticlimactic, and even after the ghost's death, I felt like, "Oh, maybe
mhm.
there's something else," but there wasn't, and I was just kind of disappointed.
I was also a little bit like, "Well, that was very anticlimactic. You got all these
Mhm,
kids that had died for Koichi's aunt."
mhm.
Koichi's aunt is the other, which up until this point, all of the students thought it was an extra student and they were
For
trying
real.
to basically get rid of each other to figure out who that extra person was.
It was just because the whole storyline is going like there's an extra desk for an extra student, but no, it turns out there was like a what is it, extra chair, extra desk in the teacher's lounge or like
Mhm.
and I was like, "Really? Really? You're just gonna throw
Yeah,
a curveball like that? Change the rules on me change the rules on me?"
and it almost felt like it was rushed. I didn't know that she was the same person as
Oh, yeah,
Koichi's
same.
aunt.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. So that part was news to me because he was like doing his little flashback and he was like, "Remember, you call me something else when we're at school." And I was like, "Wait a minute, what? What? Who are you?" I felt bad for her, but I feel like his grandfather was dropping hints. From the first episode, he was dropping hints because when they did the whole flashback and she was like, "I don't like listening to the bird." And then they did a flashback to where because she was murdered,
Yeah,
he was so stricken with grief that they bought the bird.
yeah.
So she wouldn't have ever met the bird or heard the bird. And he just kept saying, "I'm so sick of going to funerals. My poor Ditsuko, my poor Deiko." And I was like, "Why are you saying poor Ditsuko? Or poor Deiko? Isn't she
There you
sitting
go.
in the other room?"
Mhm. And that bird, why was that bird kept going, and I'm like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, the bird was annoying. That's the only thing out of this story. The only thing that annoyed me was the bird.
The bird. But I guess the bird was giving it away.
But the bird only said Dei-chan.
It was like, "Doshite
Uh,
ichi," or something like that, and I'm like, "Why is he
oh,
saying that?"
because they couldn't now I get it, because they couldn't alter the bird's memories. Only
Mm,
the human's memories were altered. So because the bird kept repeating what the grandfather had been saying that whole time, ah, I just put two and two together. That makes more sense.
I'm assuming it was like a hint thing. The bird was just like, "I'm pointing my finger, y'all." If I had fingers, it'd be pointing at that girl.
Pay attention, y'all. She the one, that's the other. She not supposed to be here. She is not supposed to be here. So I'm actually curious to know. This is a stretch, but I'm curious to know. What would you do in their situation?
Who am I? Like, whose
You
situation am
one
I
of the
in?
students.
Okay. And after I hear the tape, what would I do kinda thing?
Yes.
I'm taking everybody out.
If
Sorry, everybody gotta go. Everybody's got to go.
I was ever in their situation, I probably would have done the same thing. I probably would have. Everybody gotta go
Mm.
so that I can survive. Everybody has to
Mhm.
go.
I don't know who it is, but the problem is either way, we would have ended up dead because we would have gone for the wrong people.
Anybody that tried to escape, they're like, "Nope."
No, for real. No, I mean, 90% of these deaths were completely out of pocket.
It was like, "Okay, we gotta figure out. We running out of ways to take these students out. Well, let's have
Yeah, no.
somebody fall down the stairs, hit their head so hard, but get up and go to the beach."
And then get run over by a boat. Completely out of pocket.
They all came out of left field, but
Yeah.
for the start of the Halloween spooky season, I will say this was a pretty good one to start it off with.
Mhm. I agree,
There
I
are some
agree.
others that I think would be better
Oh, I
to start
agree.
off with than this one. But for Freaky Friday, this was fun.
It was fun, and I'm glad, like, it was something that you could watch too and enjoy, not, like, suffer through.
It was pretty decent. I
Mhm.
enjoyed it.
It's pretty good.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us on our Freaky Friday. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If there are any other spooky type anime that you think we should watch that you'd like to hear us review, please be sure to let us know. We are on Instagram and TikTok at Anime Sekai Podcast. And be sure to catch us next week for another brand new Freaky Friday episode, and we will catch you guys next week.
Bye, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Bye, guys. Have a great start to your spooky season.